Antediluvian atmosphere. This week will be a shorter video, but while I prepare for some future subjects, I wanted to briefly touch on something a little more technical that will likely be felt in almost every image of this story: the atmosphere. I'll really dig into it in the second half, but to illustrate this subject, I'll need an illustration. I'm using another thumbnail of the shipwright and Nama as my starting point. Right off the bat, I started by experimenting with some 3D grass. Naturally, I've already learned more since making this and would go about things very differently, but I'm chalking that up to the joy of learning new things. Nama has been harvesting berries, lots of berries. They'll be preserved and packed in storage with hundreds of other baskets in preparation for the future. The shipwright has returned from the border of their valley. A predator had been making life difficult near their best timber harvesting forest. He and his sons, and of course Bastian, were able to take care of the threat. Now he's returning home with the predator-turned-prey so that it can be harvested for its valuable materials: sinew, skin, bone, fertilizer, you name it. Okay, we have an image that can be used for reference. I wanted to talk about the atmosphere in the antediluvian world. This issue is likely to touch every image in this story, from weather to haze to the overall lighting. The primary text says some interesting things about the state of the world during this time. It talks about there being a firmament in the heavens that divided the waters under it from the waters above it. The waters under it were gathered together to form the seas. This has naturally led to many theories about what this was referring to and what form that may have taken. Those who have seen the intro video to this project already know where I'm going, but for those who are joining us more recently, all other things being equal, as long as it respects the primary text, I will be going with the most visually spectacular interpretation available. So here we've been looking at an antediluvian Earth with an approximation of our current post-diluvian atmosphere. And now I'll sketch in the idea of the firmament that I'll be using. I'm imagining it as a dense layer of the upper atmosphere, loaded with particles of water. At that altitude, likely frozen. They're just far enough away to be kept up in the atmosphere for about 1,000 years. By the way, I'm not drawing this to scale. Think of this as an exaggerated diagram, and forgive my quick rendition of the Earth. This is just for demonstration purposes. The firmament model accomplishes several things for this story. It filters out far more harmful solar and cosmic radiation, keeping things alive and healthy longer. It traps long-wave radiation, creating a greenhouse effect, leading to more mild, uniform temperatures across the globe and reducing extreme weather patterns. It applies more overall pressure to the atmosphere, turning the Earth into a gigantic barometric chamber, also contributing to the overall health of anything that breathes. Not long after the firmament is mentioned in the creation story, we're also told that it didn't rain on the Earth. Instead, a mist went up from the Earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So here I'm drawing something we won't be seeing in this project. No gentle sun showers, no days off the project due to rain, and no huge rainstorms. Well, at least until I reach that part of the story. Rain can be a useful narrative tool. In Tellurian, it was handy when I wanted to show my characters at a low point. But mist rising up from the ground provides some great opportunities. Here, I replaced the morning sun shower with some amplified morning mist. There will be some great opportunities to use mist to draw the eye, to create movement through a scene, to obscure the right things at the right time, and in future videos I'll be looking for opportunities to use it to convey downbeat or tense moments as well. One other visual element that the firmament gives me is light. Here I'll adjust the image to represent a post-diluvian night scene that we'd all be familiar with. Millions of stars, moonlight, all beautiful stuff to be thankful for. By contrast, the firmament model provides an interesting opportunity for nighttime drama. Adding a vast layer of water to the upper atmosphere gives me a plausible enough reason to decide that antediluvian nights wouldn't get as dark as ours do. There's often a moment after sunset where the sunlight is still bouncing off the clouds, so that everything stays a bit brighter for longer. I'm imagining this layer in the atmosphere lending us that effect. This would mean that nights in this story rarely get as dark as we're used to. The sky remains a bit more blue. Color doesn't become quite as desaturated. Honestly, I was wrestling with this idea for the atmosphere for a while. I was trying to think about how to wrap my head around a denser atmosphere without losing the sun, moon, and stars. For some reason, I kept picturing some sort of distortion effect, like light passing through glass infused with glitter, or an imperfect lens. This didn't work because these heavenly bodies are part of the creation story, and we've already seen characters that are devoted to worshiping these creations. Hopefully, I've demonstrated why I became more comfortable with using it. With more sunlight bouncing around in the atmosphere, we'll be able to see a few less stars, but if anything, that will help me use them to better effect. The sun and the moon won't really be affected that much. As a side note, people who are familiar with my artwork may have noticed that this gives me license to indulge in some of my favorite illustrative tricks. With a firmament in the heavens, I have to use massive blooming lights and thick atmospheric haze everywhere. The setting demands it. So, there's another marker planted in the ground of this project. Instead of rain and dark storm clouds, I'll be trying to use mist to create drama, depth, interest, and to aid in the overall readability of scenes, at least until it's time for the firmament to come crashing down. At night, instead of dark skies filled with millions of stars lit by desaturated moonlight, we'll have deep, glowing skies with a few less stars, but more overall color. This will provide the shipwright more visibility on his mission, while also allowing evildoers more opportunities to commit assorted deeds. In the end, my biggest hope is that it gives me some fun creative constraints that force me to make the best storytelling images that I can. Thanks for watching, everyone. You can help this project. Click the buttons, leave a comment, go to my website, buy a book or a print, follow me on stuff, sign up on Patreon. Thank you all so much for the support you've already shown. It's been overwhelming. And a special thank you to my Dragon Tier patrons. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.